Hello.
What's up, friends?
Welcome back.
Hope you've had a good week.
Yeah.
We're going to start you off with a little bit more of ASMR like we did last week so that I can eat some more of my chips.
With a crunch. Alright. I'm just going to get right on into it. I'm starting to, even though it's not quite as late as we usually do, I'm starting to drag.
I'm not going to say it out loud. Never mind.
Alright. This is spooky New Hampshire. And we will start. Built in 1837, the Amos J. Blake House sits beside the historic Fitzwilliam Inn. It later became the residence and law office, of community leader, town official, and state legislator Amos J. Blake. The home has 13 rooms that are available for viewing, with each room being filled with a variety of pieces from the early Fitzwilliam homes that depict everyday life of the people who lived in the old New Hampshire village. Originally built by Levi Haskell, the intent for the building was for commercial use with a door in the center and 2 stores on each corner, which each had their own door, like access door. Haskell and his new wife rented the storage space in the basement and the attic for wooden boxes, and the newlyweds lived on the 2nd floor. Following Haskell's ownership, the home changed hands several times before being purchased in 1865 by Amos J. Blake, who lived there until his death in 1925. It was then occupied by his son Leroy until his death in 1965. In 1966, his cousin Ida Mae Northup gave the home to the Fitzwilliam Historical Society and requested the use of the Blake name on the museum. Caretaker Terry Harlow says the Blake House is home to 12 spirits, including a cat that she says she has seen vanish before her eyes. The cat is said to appear in a misty ball of fuzz. Terry has said that antique toys in the museum will move when her back is turned. Employees and visitors have reported seeing the apparition of a little boy who will appear and disappear from thin air. And there are also other reports of objects moving around and the sound of mysterious bells when no one is around. The TAPS group with the TV show Ghost Hunters visited the location in 2009 and captured a chain moving of its own accord. However, skeptics have claimed that this was caused by someone walking through the room. Joni Mahan, a paranormal investigator, says she recorded an EVP while in the Amos J. Blake house. Unheard by her at the time, a ghostly voice said, "Behind you," as she entered the hallway. On Joni's website, she describes Terry's experience and says Terry Harlow was on her hands and knees cleaning a section of the floor in the front parlor when she realized she wasn't alone. A small cat approached her, twitching its tail in a manner that made her believe it wanted to be petted. Before she could even reach for her camera, the cat disappeared before her eyes. As the curator of the historic Amos Blake House in Fitzwilliam, New Hampshire, as well as the founder of Conscious Spirit Paranormal, a local paranormal investigative group, Terry has witnessed more paranormal phenomena than she can fit into a conversation. Every room in the 1837 house has a story. When on a tour of the museum with Terry, Joni inquired if anything paranormal had happened there. She said Terry got a gleam in her eye as she showed us the mantle above the fireplace. She said, "I put several toys on the mantle and came back a few hours later to find them way over there on the floor," she said, pointing to an area nearly 6 feet away. Considering she was alone in the building at the time, this was interesting information. Other items in the house move as well. A catnip toy brought in for the ghost cat is frequently found in various places in the house, as if a cat has been playing with it.
I love a good ghost cat.
Yeah. In regard to the ghost hunters' evidence, Terry said that the chain moving has happened several times since their visit in 2009. The group toured the remainder of the house, and Joni caught some EVPs throughout. However, when the tour concluded, Joni said she excused herself and went up to the attic space where Terry had said there is a lot of paranormal activity. Of this, she wrote, I soon found this out firsthand. Being a sensitive, I had been picking up on the resident entities during the majority of the tour. I pointed them out to Terry, who is also a medium, for confirmation. In the attic, I felt there was a man, a woman, and several children. She later confirmed that a grumpy man is known to linger in the corner near the stairs, and that a woman who loves to dance is often heard there as well. I turned on my spirit box to see if any of them were willing to talk to me. For those of you who don't know what a spirit box is, it's a modified radio that scans quickly through the stations. The theory is that the ghosts can use the white noise to speak. Some controversy surrounds this piece of equipment, and critics feel the responses are due to stray radio signals. While I agree that there are often bits and pieces of radio voices that come through the speakers, I've captured several responses that are far too relevant to be coincidence.
I want a spirit box.
I just don't know if I like it. Because I watch Watcher, which is Shane Madej and what's the other one's name? Shane and I can't remember his name right now. I know they did BuzzFeed Unsolved, and then they left BuzzFeed to start Watcher, and they go do ghost tours. Well, Shane is a skeptic, and he doesn't buy into it. And I feel the same way he does about the spirit boxes. I feel like they're unreliable and they're loud.
They are very loud.
They are very loud. Like, it's almost difficult to, like, focus.
But, like, I
do like the ones where they wear the headphones, though, and they say what they're hearing.
Yes.
I like those.
That's called the Estes method.
Yes.
I love that.
That I like.
But I like I've seen several videos where, like, people will be asking questions, and then the responses that they get back from it are very valid. Like, one the other day, I got so damn tickled about. I see this dude's videos all the time. He, like, goes through cemeteries and talks to them or whatever. And so he's walking through, and he was talking about something, and then he's, like, singing, all the pretty ghosts walk like this, and then the voice says, like this. And he's like, see, they're playing along. And then he farts and goes, oh, it's those barking tree spiders. And then you hear a giggle come through the spirit box after he says, it's those barking tree spiders. And I was like, that's funny.
It's Shane Madej and Ryan Bergara.
Got you. See, I do. I want one, though. Like, we need stuff. Yeah. I think a spirit box would help us get rounded. A voice box thing. Yeah. I think also, like, even if we were just to get, like, I want one of those to do the Estes method, but I also want one, like an Alice box, where it only comes across that one word, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like the loud noise. Kind of like the app we used.
Yeah.
Those are not cheap.
No.
They're not cheap. I don't know how I feel about, like, the voice recorders and then having to play it back, because you're not getting real-time results, you know? Anyway. So, as per usual, here's some laws. I have laws, and I have, like, products made in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to go with the laws first. Some of these laws are ridiculous, I will give you. Because I was, like, reading through these, and I was like, oh my God. If a person caught raking the beaches, picking up litter, hauling away trash, building a bench for the park, or many other kinds of things without a permit, he or she may be fined $150 for maintaining the national forest without a permit. and seaweed cannot be picked up from the beach at night. You would think that folks removing seaweed from the beaches would be a delight for New Hampshire, but it is against the law. Apparently, it was enacted in 1973 because a few people were pulling living rockweed and eelgrass off the beach in Stone, and they were and there were enforceability issues at night. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense knowing that, it was because they were removing living coral in the Caribbean thanks to tourists, It was an issue because of the ecosystem.
Right.
New Hampshire law forbids you to tap your feet, nod your head, or in any way keep time to the music in a tavern, restaurant, or cafe. Oh, that's very much screwed. Giving footloose.
I would be so screwed.
Oh, yeah. You may not run machinery on Sundays because that's the Lord's Day. Means no mowing your yard, no making ice cream like in an ice cream maker.
Yeah.
No tree cutting. It's not super forced.
I was gonna say I don't know how that would be enforced.
No person while hunting or obviously on his way to or from hunting may have a ferret in their possession, custody, or control. You know why? Because until this law was passed in 1935, ferrets were used for rabbit hunting.
Oh, okay.
In 1971, a law regulates the size of the opening in a restaurant sugar shaker. It must be less than 3/8 of an inch.
Oh.
In Claremont cemeteries, it is illegal to get drunk, enter at night, or enter by oneself if you were under the age of 10. You know what? I feel it.
Yeah.
Because if you're going there to get drunk,
yeah,
you're probably going to mess stuff up.
Right.
Not everybody is like us, and if you're entering a cemetery at night, unless you're like us, you're there to mess stuff up.
Yeah.
And I don't think children should be running around cemeteries, period.
Yeah.
It's a hazard.
Yeah.
Unaccompanied to children.
Yeah. Ban children from cemeteries.
Right. They walk around and step on headstones going, awkward.
That was so funny.
Any cattle that crosses state roads must be fitted with a device to gather feces.
Okay, period.
Put a shit bag on the back of them.
Yeah.
You may not sell the shirt off your back to clear a gambling debt. The law actually reads, no title or interest in money or any other thing can be acquired, lost, or changed by gambling, or by the payment, delivery, or transfer by any losing party. Although it does not specifically mention clothing.
Who wrote that?
Although it does not specifically mention clothing, it is frequently cited that way, maybe to prevent drunken streaking in casinos.
Yeah, probably.
You may not check into a hotel under an assumed name.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah. It says, I can see where the lawmakers were coming from. Accurate information makes it easier to track down vandals and rate dodgers. However, it sure does put a damper on a couple's roleplay fantasy.
Yeah.
This one, I got kind of tickled about. Because this is a thing that you and I would both do.
Oh, Lord.
It is illegal to build a spite fence taller than 5 foot tall. This came about in around 1887 as a way to try to and keep neighbors from building stupidly tall fences just to be a bitch.
Okay. Kind of like they're on the main road that like runs from, it's got 2 numbers. We all just refer to it by.
Okay.
So when you're coming down and there's all them new houses where they've like built between all the houses that have been bought by the state. Mm-hmm. And there's that one house that has an incredibly specifically tall privacy fence between the 2 houses. And it's because it goes in like layers.
Yes.
I'm like, what did those people do?
That was 1,000%.
That was like targeted.
Yeah.
Well, somebody made a post about something on one of the local Facebook pages, and I made a comment. I was like, I said something about that fence, and I was like, we joke about it all the time. I was like, they're probably friends, but
right.
They probably just, somebody likes to get naked in their backyard, probably. And I commented something about it, and she's one of our customers, and she's like, I know them, they are my friends, and it is not like that. It is not like that at all.
Listen,
and I'm like, I was just making a joke. I don't care if they like each other.
There was one of those, I don't think it's that one, but there's another, like, 2 houses right next to each other in one of those spots.
Yeah.
And these people, it's like the house and then a separated garage. But you can see that the garage has like an above, like living space above the garage.
Yeah.
So we know the people that used to live there.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to like word this in a way that if somebody's listening to this won't get offended. To me, it looks similar to a lavender marriage from the outside in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, anytime on the weekends,
yeah,
in the nighttime hours,
yeah,
you'd go by, there's like party lights going on in that above garage room.
Yeah.
And like lots of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, those are key parties. I could almost guarantee it. Listen, no shame. Because, like...
Do you? As long as everybody there is consenting and y'all are just, not trying to spread around diseases and stuff. Yeah, I don't care what you do.
Listen.
That ain't none of my business.
I don't know that... I'd like to attend a key party, but not for the reason that you think.
You want to be a cuck, sit in the chair and watch?
Now that I'm thinking about it. Like... I forget that they do these things out in the open in front of everybody. Like, I'm in my brain, like, key parties is like, okay, like, you and this person take off to this room and you and this person take off to this room. I forget that it's like all out there in the open. Yeah. Sometimes.
I think some of them are structured like that. Like, there used to be like a reality TV show on, not TLC, but it was like Bravo or something where it was like documentary style of stuff like that, where sometimes they are structured that way, where it's like there's somebody running the show and everybody's just getting assigned.
I would just like to see
like a fly on the wall.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to be a cuck. Okay,
you just want to be a little fly on the wall.
I want to see how this goes down. And then like I can keep. I'm not going to tell nobody but you about it.
Right.
Like, I would like to go. Like, me and TJ just go, but I don't want to be involved. I don't want to, like, swap around.
Do y'all got stadium seating or anything where we can just, like, observe?
Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know.
Say you're, like, writing an article.
There are stipulations, and I'm trying not to say too much on a public forum, okay?
Right.
But, like, I don't want him sleeping around with anybody else.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Just let that be known.
Yeah.
I don't want to sleep with another man. Just let that be known.
Yeah.
Okay? I just want to see what's the word I'm looking for? How the logistics work on this.
Yeah.
And then whenever y'all start getting busy, like if y'all are going off to your own rooms, then I can like hightail it out.
Yeah.
Deuces. Y'all have a great time. I just wanted to see who was ending up with who.
Right.
Now, hit me up later with all the drama that went down. Somebody call me and tell me about all the tea that was spilled, okay? Like, I need to know. Did
somebody's husband get pissed off because she liked this girl, this other lady's husband just a little bit more than she likes her own?
I just need to know all the drama when it is all said and done. Now, I don't know for sure that this person was having key parties. Like, and they may not have. They probably weren't. But, like,
but I just imagining that that's what they're doing with blinky lights and stuff.
I just get that vibe. Because it always looked like it was a great time going on up there. It always seemed like you could see a bunch of people walking around up there.
Yeah.
And she seems like a very fun person to be around. I'll tell you who it is later. I don't know that you would know.
Maybe not.
But I'll tell you who it was later.
Okay.
Anyway, let me write it down.
Okay.
Back to it. So I'm going to read this last one. You can go to your next one.
Okay.
You cannot inhale exhaust fumes on purpose to get high.
I mean,
have you ever looked at an exhaust pipe and thought to yourself, man, I would really like to put my mouth on that and suck in those sweet, sweet fumes?
No.
Well, just know you can't make that brilliant decision legally in New Hampshire. Exhaust pipes are not mentioned specifically, but many see it falling under the definition of toxic vapors for the purpose of causing a condition of intoxication, euphoria, excitement, exhilaration, stupefaction, or dulled senses in the nervous system. For some reason, many websites refer to bus fumes when they reference this law, but I didn't find any specific reference to that in the legislation.
Somebody just like...
I really think that they were like talking about like, I don't know when this law was made. Yeah. So it may not, but like it's probably gearing more toward like whippets or like the what's it called? The air, compressed air.
Yeah, I mean I think that's still a whippet, but
is it?
I think so.
To me, whippets are like the whipped cream cans.
That's the same concept. But
we be doing whippets in my house, but not for that reason. We ain't
different kind of whippet.
We ain't inhaling the stuff that comes out. We just putting the whipped cream in our mouth and eating it when it's done making noises. The dogs be doing whippets too. They like it.
Founded in 1866.
Get it together.
The New Hampshire College of Agriculture and the Mechanic Arts, now called just the University of New Hampshire, was one of the early land-grant institutions established to serve the sons and daughters of farming and laboring families under the Morrill Act of 1862. Originally situated in Hanover with affiliation with Dartmouth College, it relocated in 1893 to Durham. It was elevated to university status in 1923, where it comprised colleges of agriculture, liberal arts, and technology. The first doctoral degree was awarded there in 1896. Now, prior to 1908, there was no facility on campus for housing students, and they were left to either commute back home or left to find their own place to stay. A bill in 1895 to fund a women's dormitory was vetoed by the governor, and so the college refitted the Benjamin Thompson House for women students. The house burned down in 1897, and about this time, philanthropist Hamilton Smith Jr. moved to town.
When I tell you I looked at that word philanthropist and was like, I know that word, but that's not how my brain read it.
Yeah.
I don't even know how my brain read, like it was all kinds. You know how sometimes I'll be reading stuff and I know that word and then I say it and you're like, you have to correct me on it? That 10 out of 10 would have happened just then.
Hamilton had grown up in Durham with his grandfather, Judge Valentine Smith, and his Aunt Mary, when his mother died when he was 5. He was a self-taught engineer and was the foremost authority on hydraulic mining, leading to him becoming a very wealthy man. He and his wife, Alice Congreve, moved back to Durham and purchased a modest home on Main Street and transformed it into their opulent summer home that they called Red Tower, which still stands today. In honor of his grandfather, Smith immediately bequeathed $10,000 to Durham's new college for scholarships and planned to build a new public library. But unfortunately, on July 4th, 1900, he suffered a heart attack while boating on the Oyster River and died at the age of 59. His will left a $10,000 legacy for the library, and his wife Alice pledged another $10,000 for a dorm for women. This, with the state appropriating funds, was enough money enough money was finally available. This new building had rooms for 32 women, and all women who did not live at home were required to live in Smith Hall, where the rent was $1.25 to $2 per week.
Bro, take me back.
At this time, male students were still on their own to obtain housing, but the college helped them meet expenses by offering employment on campus, and there was one job off limits to male students, and that was as a janitor of Smith Hall. After more than 100 years, Smith Hall has been expanded and renovated, but still remains the smallest dorm on campus. Late at night, when most students are sleeping, the dorm lounge may seem like a quiet place to study, but legend has it that the oldest dorm on campus is haunted. For generations, students have told stories of hearing footsteps in the attic and seeing a young woman appear and then disappear. A female spirit roaming the halls of Smith Hall would be in keeping with the origins of the dorm, which was built specifically for female students. She has also been spotted in T Hall, where she manifests as a lady in white who visits students while they sleep.
Not a lady in white.
Not a lady in white. Many students also report that they will be overcome with the feeling that they are no longer alone. Nobody is sure who this lady in white is or why she is haunting the dorms at the University of New Hampshire.
He's not here, right?
No. You can open that if you want to.
I don't know that I want to.
Why? Because you know Amara's sitting out there waiting to bust in?
No.
Let me make sure he's not here. No, he's not here.
Okay. Also, another random thought that I just had, that picture you've got of Ziggy right there screaming.
Mm-hmm.
When I brought the girls in here, while she was in Florida, it was my job to come feed the cats.
Yeah, so Isaiah was with us.
Right. And so I came over to feed the cats, and I brought the kids with me every time I came. Because they love the cats, so they wanted to come and see the cats. I, of course, ran that by Brittany first, and she was cool with the idea. I didn't just bring my kids up in her house. She loves the fact that my children love Ziggy, and that they're giving him attention. And by giving him attention, I mean, like, they carried his ass around everywhere. When we walked in here so the girls could look at your pictures and stuff, Gemma was looking at that, and she goes, "Does this turn?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever seen that picture frame in here before. She turns it around, because the picture of Ziggy is facing outwards. She turns it around and goes, "Oh, it's a picture of you and Aunt Brittany." And I was like, of course that stupid-ass cat would come before me.
That's my favorite picture of Ziggy.
It is a cute picture of him. And Maddie was like, "Is that at school?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's at your school." I was like, if I'm not mistaken, those lockers right there are the ones over in what, for us, was...
This was the English pod.
Okay, because that's not where I thought it was. I see that now. I thought it was in those two, like, where they're... What did we call it? The related arts?
Like, hallway?
Where there was, like, the art room, and then Coach Patterson's class was over here, and the art room was here, and then there was, like, the row of lockers on either side.
Yeah.
That's where I thought it was.
No, that's over by the English pod.
I don't even remember taking that picture.
Here, like, if you, like, looking where we're looking, was the door to go outside to the pit.
That would have been the math pod. No,
the math pod. The English pod was behind us, and the math pod was...
No.
So the math pod's over...
On the other side.
Yeah.
English pod was here, and then the language pod, like, where Spanish and all that was. But if we were to have been... If that had been sophomore year, and we were taking Miss Cooper's class, that hers was in the language pod, remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, that's where her classroom
I don't remember taking that picture at all.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you who took it.
Props to them.
Yeah.
Little did they know.
They were documenting history.
And we haven't said it. Never mind. We haven't said it in this episode yet.
What?
Two of the coolest mother you've ever seen.
I'm almost certain I have said it, by the way.
I see. I just
maybe not. Maybe not this
have.
one. I think it was the other one.
All right. Anyway, so don't you dare put anything besides dairy products in milk containers.
Oh,
want to put Pepsi in your milk container or fill it with some vanilla pudding? Shit sucks for you because New Hampshire wants its containers to be used for that white juice exclusively. No milk and milk product container shall be used as a receptacle for any substance other than dairy products, and don't insult the cows in our state.
What a weird...
Right.
I get for, like, fuel.
Right. It's a little dangerous. Did you see that one picture of that lady putting gas in storage bins?
I did.
Anyway, adults cannot play bingo with kids at private campgrounds or hotels. New Hampshire seems to...
Yeah, you weirdos. You bingo players.
Bingo is like the least thing in the world.
I love bingo.
I love bingo. Meanwhile, my mom's at her house teaching my kids how to play like spoons and threes and poker and, you know... Like shit, like I'm talking like full. Mom's got like a bag full of ones for them to like gamble with. Now, granted, the kids don't keep it; they leave it there. But it's like she teaching them how to gamble.
Nice.
Some grandparents do other questionable things.
Some grandparents teach their grandchildren how to properly gamble. Some grandparents take their grandkids to Chuck E. Cheese. It's the same thing. But
that's not where I was going with that.
It's the same thing, but different fonts.
That's not where I was going with that, but okay. I like it.
Listen, arcades are just gambling rings for children.
I mean, true. I was going to say something like some grandmothers bake cookies with their grandkids. My kids have grandparents how to gamble and say bad words. That's more of their grandfather that teaches them bad words on their dad's side. My dad, my mom gets mad about it. Anyway, adults cannot play bingo, blah, blah, blah. New Hampshire seems to take bingo very, very seriously. By law, adults are not allowed to play children's bingo games at hotels and campgrounds. Representative James Webb has proposed a change that would allow them to play, but forbid them from claiming any prizes.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Showmen need permission from selectmen.
What?
Performers are going to have to jump through some hoops besides the ones they may use in their acts. No showman, tumbler, rope dancer, ventriloquist, or any other person shall for pay exhibit any feats of agility. Let me try this again. Because I
feel like this we've gotten
okay.
We've lost control of this sentence.
No showman, tumbler, rope dancer, ventriloquist, or other person shall, for pay, exhibit any feats of agility, horsemanship, sleight of hand, rope dancing, or feats with cards, or any animals, wax figures, puppets, or other show, or promote any public competition without a license from the selectmen of the town. So you can't...
No street magic. Get out of here. Get out of here,
if
David Copperfield.
If you got a special talent and you want to show it, you better
Chris
get a permit.
Angel, not in our town.
You better get a permit. How many more stories do you have? One,
two. I want to say three.
4. Shit. 4. Okay.
4.
I'm just trying. That was all of my laws, so I'm trying to gauge.
Okay.
How I want to go about this next one. Which story were you on? Okay. I went too far up.
The next one's shorter, but the last ones are a little longer. All right. Born in two Scottish-Irish immigrants in late July of 1720, ocean-born Mary Wallace led a normal life, but her birth was not quite so. Her mother went into labor while she was still aboard the ship that was carrying her and her husband to America. Just off the coast of Boston, Massachusetts, she gave birth to a baby girl. That same day, their ship was captured by pirates who launched a full-fledged attack on the crew and passengers. When they heard the cries of a newborn child, the pirate captain halted the attack and requested to meet with the child and her family. Legend holds that he was so moved upon seeing the child that he proposed he would set all of the captives free as long as the baby would bear the name Mary in honor of a relative of his. The mother, of course, agreed, and the pirate presented her with a length of green silk that would be made into a dress for the child upon her wedding day. Mary grew up in Londonderry, New Hampshire, and was eventually married, of course, wearing the silk, and she had 5 children. 3 of her sons settled in Hickman, New Hampshire, and Mary... Henniker?
You put the K in the wrong spot based off of how you spelled it.
How did I say it?
Hickman.
Henniker, New Hampshire, and Mary spent her final 16 years of life living there with one of them. When a Wisconsin man named Mr. Louis Roy came to Henniker looking for a home with a story, he found and moved into the home of one of her other sons. Over this time, Mr. Roy spun a fantastical and very profitable story of hauntings and legends. After some time, truth began to be muddled by the fiction. Roy would tell paying customers that ocean-born Mary lived in the house and could still be seen rocking in her rocking chair, which was never actually even hers. Stories circulated that shortly after the death of Mary's husband, Don Pedro settled in Henniker and built his dream home. When he heard that the woman he named and saved so many years ago, saved from himself, was a widow, he invited Mary and her sons to his estate, where the two fell in love and married. They were said to have stayed married for many years until Mary found Don Pedro stabbed to death in their garden. Mary continued to live in the house until she passed at the age of 94. Amateur ghost hunters absorbed these tales of Mary's love affair, marriage, employment, and how the pirate spared her life. Tourists and treasure seekers would pay 50 cents each to rent shovels and dig for pirate treasure, which was said to be buried in the orchard.
Okay.
Word spread that Mary herself was buried under the house's very hearthstone. Business boomed for Mr. Roy, and our good friend Legend Says entered the picture. Mr. Roy sold the home in 1961 and died in 1965. Unfortunately, Legend Says didn't die with him, and the new owners were plagued with visits from ghost hunters, supernaturalists, paranormal enthusiasts, and treasure hunters. The new owners went to great lengths to publicly expose the truth of these legends, but to no avail. Adding to the notion that these stories are, in fact, fictional, in 1949, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren visited the ocean-born Mary house, and this is the time that Lorraine began to realize she had sensitivity to the paranormal.
Of course.
She realized in this house that she might be a clairvoyant, and the owner of the house at the time said that clairvoyants had a very difficult time in the house. Y'all, I would like to throw in a story. Y'all know I like to throw in a story that isn't even true every once in a while, just because I get a little bit of a kick out of them. I like that. That whole story was made up by that guy.
Right. All right, Lord. So now we're to the things that, like, inventions and stuff that come from New Hampshire, okay? Mm-hmm. So, Pitco friolators.
Yeah.
So, basically, like the deep fryers, commercial deep fryers.
Yeah.
Back in 1918, J.C. Pittman founded a company that now operates in Bow and Concord. They make not only fryers, but pasta cookers, rethermalizers, oil filtration systems, char broilers, and griddles. Pitco equipment is used in many of the top chain restaurants throughout the U.S., as well as over 100 countries worldwide.
Wow.
Burdick chocolate mice. I've never heard of these, but they're these cute little chocolate. They look like chocolate drops that somebody just kind of put little mouse ears on. It says the adorable and delicious chocolate mice from the renowned L.A. Birdwick in Walpole were already one of the chocolatier signature items, but they recently enjoyed an A-list treatment. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan enjoyed the cute confections on their first date. As a nod to their history, they treated the guests with chocolate mice favors at their wedding.
Oh, that's cute.
Globe fire suits, so like the suits that firefighters wear.
Yeah.
They call it turnout gear. But those were made by the Globe Manufacturing Company that has been family owned since it began in 1887. It's located in Pittsfield, New Hampshire, since 1901. Badger Balm was started in 1993 when contractor Bill White wrestled with how to ease painful cracking and bleeding of his winter-induced dry hands. Never heard of this, but I need to look it up.
I feel like I have heard of this.
I'm a firm believer in the...
Because, like, I used to have a really hard time with, like, my heels.
Yeah.
But I don't really wear sandals much anymore, so...
I'm a firm believer in the O'Keeffe's, I think it's called, working hands. I love that stuff. It is kind of greasy, but, man, one application, and I don't have any more
smell of it.
I don't know that I've ever noticed it's got a smell.
It really... I mean, everything has a smell. But... I don't care for the smell.
So
but it does work.
When you think of like a picnic basket,
mm-hmm.
Imagine that. So these are Peterborough Basket Company. There are a million baskets on the market, but the ones handmade by the craftsmen of Peterborough Basket Company are in a class of their own. The family owned and operated company uses techniques that have been perfected over 159 years that they've been in business. They have an online store that sells a myriad of baskets for bicycles, knitting, pies, picnics, and more. The Rochester shoe tree. This is something that I know all about.
Yeah.
Generally made with cedar. I've got a thing with cedar wood and the smell of it. It's very...
I do like the smell of cedar.
Well, it's very, what's the word? Why is this word not coming to me? When it brings you back to a point in childhood, like fond memories.
Yeah. Nostalgic.
Yes. My grandfather on my mom's side used to love working with wood, and he'd make things out of wood, and he had like a workshop.
Yeah.
And he used cedar wood quite a bit, so it always smelled like cedar wood in there. The smell of like when you cut through the cedar wood with the saw, not specifically like burning cedar wood, but that when it gets really hot, that's like my favorite smell in the whole wide world. But anyway, that this Ashland company has been in continuous business since 1922, which is saying something when your namesake product is something you mostly remember finding in your grandparents' closet. But along with cedar shoe trees, the company has diversified to offer shoe care products and a variety of other cedar wood items like wine racks and suit hangers. Oh, and boot jacks. So, you know what I'm saying when I say the shoe trees? So it's like, it's got the toe and then the heel, and they're connected by like a piece of wood, but it's got like a little knob on the back of it. So like you'd put them in your shoes to try and keep the shape up or whatever, so they don't kind of collapse down when you take them off.
Yeah.
Things like that, or you can even use them as like a boot stretcher if your foot's a little bit wider. You can buy like some kind of expand sometimes, to try and stretch the boot a little bit. But the boot trees too. Someone that used to work at a boot store that worked at a boot store for years. Yeah. These were a huge seller for us. We'd sell like you're trying to upsell. We were talking about we sell a good pair of boots, brand new boots. They're always going to be a little tight and a little rigid whenever you first get them. We'd sell a boot tree with them so that it would help kind of, when you're not wearing them, put that in there and it kind of stretches it just a little bit to help it form to your foot a little bit better. And then, of course, the boot jacks to take them off.
Yeah.
Hampshire Pewter, which is based in Wolfboro, is the only manufacturer in North America that still hand casts all of its pewter products. They are one-of-a-kind pieces that are created by the company's artisans or artisans, range from goblets and tankards to jewelry and oil lamps. Though all of their items are lovely, it's the gorgeous Christmas ornaments that they are world-renowned for that are made famous by many years of making special ornaments for the White House's Christmas displays. Yeah. Bailey Works They now manufacture an array of backpacks, totes, and pouches, but the original backpack or bicycle messenger bag is what they are known for. The sturdy item that built the company was the child of years of experience in the bike messenger culture of California, where the steeps and narrows of San Francisco city life took a toll on anything not made to last. In 1993, the first Bailey bag was stitched and sold in Portsmouth. The company has now since moved to Newmarket, where they continue the handmade tradition of utilitarian, colorful designs that blend form and function so purely and unambiguously that they have become the perfect seacoast and American style statement. Here's a cool one that I didn't know.
Yeah.
The Old Farmer's Almanac. I love a good Farmer's Almanac.
Yeah.
It's very helpful.
Yeah.
My mom swears by them.
Yeah.
Like
one of them went out of business.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, this one.
I don't know if it was this one or if it was because there's two of them.
This
two
one, it's based in Dublin, New Hampshire. It's North America's oldest continuously published periodical, first created in the infancy of our country back in 1792. For more than 200 years, the Almanac has helped farmers with sunrise and planting charts, provided rest. It's not this one because I've seen this one. Like they've got a cover of it on here, and I see this one every year. It's provides recipes for home cooks, given sailors and fishermen accurate tide tables, predicted the weather, offered gardening tips, and much more. Long before the internet existed, it was the Google for all types of people across the country. In modern times, many still look to its pages for sage advice, or go online to almanac.com. So if you don't know, listeners, Farmer's Almanac, it can tell you like in a year in advance how our seasons are going to be, when's going to be the best time to plant what type of crops.
Yeah.
Honestly, my mom reads it. Like if we know somebody that's pregnant, she can read it and tell you round about when the baby's going to be born, like based off of your due date.
Yeah.
She's tried to explain it to me, but I didn't understand the last time she did. But it's a pretty cool deal. It's usually fairly on point. R&R Cycles. It's a premier high-performance engine shop in one of the premier high-performance engine shops in the world. It operates just off the flight path of the Manchester-Boston Regional Airport. Specializes in American V-twin performance engines. R&R Cycles manufactures all parts and engines in-house using aerospace-quality precision, computer-driven shaping, so their motors don't require gaskets.
Oh, okay.
The Duncraft bird feeders, so like the bird feeders that have, it's like the long cylinder ones, but it's got a cage around it. This is
for keeping out the squirrels.
Yeah. It was founded in 1952. It says is the pioneering company in keeping up with the demand for durable products and innovations designed to get the right seeds to the right critters. The Segway.
Oh. Well, thanks, New Hampshire.
It didn't quite revolutionize the everyday world the way New Hampshire inventor and entrepreneur Dean Kamen hoped it would, but there's no denying that the two-wheeled, self-balancing, battery-powered personal scooters built in Bedford are a huge step forward in green transportation.
I guess so. I feel like it led to the stupid scooters and stuff downtown.
It
still cracks me up that there was a guy who got arrested for throwing.
I read you that while we were at the thing in Louisville,
off of the bridge.
Not all heroes wear capes,
right?
So then the Bellows House treats. This hold on. What began as a sweet idea to make guests feel at home at the Josiah Bellows House B&B in Walpole, grew into the Bellows House Bakery, and there's been little room for guests ever since. I have to pee again, so go.
All right. In 1897, president of the Concord and Montreal Railroad and the Kimball and Wright Wheel Manufacturing Company of Concord, Benjamin Kimball, hired an architect to build his castle on Locks Hill overlooking Lake Winnipesaukee in Guilford. The castle was finished in 1899, and Benjamin died in 1919. In the 1920s, Samuel L. Powers of Boston wrote the following of Benjamin Kimball. Many years ago, Mr. Kimball made his first trip up the Rhine River in Germany. As he sat upon the steamer's deck and viewing the vine-clad slopes on either side of the river, he finally came into view of the castles built by the barons of the Middle Ages. It was then that the thought came to him he would like to build a castle similar to those upon the promontory which he owned in the southern bank of Lake Winnipesaukee. So he made a landing, secured an architect, and arranged him to make plans for a castle, which stands today some 700 feet above the lake on the brow of Locks Hill. It is a remarkable view 700 feet below where the sparkling waters of Winnipesaukee, dotted with its hundreds of islands, each rich with summer verdure, extending to the very water's edge. The castle looked similar to a fort in many ways, including a heavy oak front door, wrought iron window gratings, hinges, and a lion's head door knocker. All of the oak woodwork was made in London and shipped to Boston and reassembled inside of the castle. All of the wrought iron fixtures were custom made in Germany. When Mrs. Kimball died in 1960, she willed the estate to the Alvord Wildlife Sanctuary of Bear Island. It was felt that if the public wished, the castle and its 250-acre park of flowers and shrubs could be restored and preserved for their community to enjoy, with the community most likely inheriting the property to restore. The property was abandoned for several years, and throughout the late 60s and into the 70s, every piece of tapestry, furniture, and artwork were stolen or vandalized. When the gates were ripped, even the gates were ripped from their supports. The oak banisters and dragon gargoyles on the castle's parapets were taken as well. Everything that could be taken was taken. Windows were broken, wrought iron that could be carried off was, and stacks of rare green bullseye glass replacements from windows were smashed. Voters decided to not commit funds to restoring the castle, and the town eventually convinced the Attorney General to remove the stipulation that prevented commercial use of the property. The land was subdivided, and ski and hiking trails were created on a portion of the acreage. From afar, the castle emanates a distinct aura, and visitors to the area have described feeling an unshakable sense of unease. Numerous visitors reported sudden drafts of cold air around the castle's rooms and corridors, particularly near broken windows and in empty halls. One caretaker stated that they felt an unseen force urge them to turn back after having felt the sensation of being watched. Long since broken antique clocks were reported to randomly take back to life, only to die once again. Without power, there have been reports of lights flickering on and off, which were accompanied by the sound of heavy footsteps echoing across vacant rooms. The stable-turned-workshop has generated reports of a gray figure moving and the sound of echoing footsteps in empty places. A caretaker reported seeing a well-dressed man ascending the stairs, smiling just before disappearing when approached. There have been reports of doors swinging open on their own with empty rooms beyond. There have been reports of unexplained screams and whispers from the castle's workshop and stables. Reddit users who trespassed described quote-unquote horrific scenes in bathrooms that were hidden by debris, which heightened the sense that the castle harbored something malevolent. Some argue that the unstable structural integrity of the castle is responsible for many of the eerie feelings, drafts, and noises. The environment alone would set up visitors to be creeped out. Others argue that Kimball Castle harbored residual energy from its troubled past, and spirits can be linked to Benjamin Kimball's death in lavish solitude, or even to visitors who died there. Some believe that it could be a daughter or a former caretaker. In the early morning hours of August 27th, 2025, the Guilford Fire Department responded to reports of a large outdoor fire on Scenic Drive shortly before 3:45 a.m. Soon after, the department received additional reports of a brush fire along Route 11 and a building fire on Locks Hill, where the castle is situated. The first alarm was struck upon arriving to the scene, and firefighters found Kimball Castle fully engulfed in flames. They were spreading rapidly to brush surrounding the property. Crews worked to attack the blaze and soon struck a second alarm for the building and requested a first alarm forestry response and set up a water supply operation in the nearby Glendale neighborhood. By about 5 a.m., crews had the blaze under control, but the damage was immense. The floors, ceilings, and roof had completely collapsed, and the remainder of the structure was deemed unsafe. The castle was deemed a total loss, and 2 acres of woodland had been burned. There has been no update on the cause of the fire, but the Guilford Police and the New Hampshire Fire Marshal's Office are investigating and ask the public to send any videos or photos that may show the fire or any suspicious person or vehicle in the area around the time of the fire. With there being no power source at the castle, the blaze was being looked at as suspicious. Even with the castle being listed on the National Register of Historic Places, with it being considered a total loss from the fire, it is likely that it will be torn down. If there are any ghosts here, they may live on no matter what structure is built in this location, though.
See, that's a thing. You never know.
Yeah. But I thought that one was interesting.
Right.
As soon as I typed in that place's name, it was just articles of, it burned down.
Yeah. All right, so other life-changing inventions that came from Concord, New Hampshire. The modern kitchen stove.
Oh.
Sir Benjamin Thompson, Count Rumford, were the men that... So this says, let me just read what this says. Imagine waking up every morning and stoking the fireplace in the middle of your kitchen while you brush your teeth. Wait, what's wrong with this picture? Well... If it wasn't for Sir Benjamin Thompson, Count Rumford, that could have been our morning scenario for making a breakfast. Thompson, a New England-born inventor and scientist, whose wife, Sarah Rolfe, was from Concord, designed a kitchen stove made of brick with a cylindrical oven and holes at the top for pots. When not in use, the opening could be covered over, leaving the fire to smolder gently. His stove is widely considered the forefather of the kitchen stove. I want one of those old school.
Yeah.
Like that has multiple doors.
Yeah.
And then it's got you got your griddle and then it lifts and you've got a broiler type thing underneath it.
Yeah.
That's what I want. The drip coffee pot. Drip coffee does date back to 18th century France. But Sir Benjamin Thompson developed a French drip pot with an insulating water jacket to keep the coffee hot. So that the coffee could stay hot longer. But I thought that was pretty cool. The double boiler. Sir Benjamin also came up with the idea of a double boiler, which is a unique cooking pot that was designed for convenience and time saving. Double boilers are ideal for heating more delicate sauces, puddings, and pie fillings, anything prone to scorching.
Yeah,
they also eliminate They eliminate the need for constant stirring, which is a real time saver in the kitchen. Yes, as somebody who on multiple times throughout the year makes things like chocolate covered strawberries or peppermint bark.
Yeah.
A double boiler situation would be nice because I literally never do that. Probably should. That's actually a really good idea. I might try that next time. the Rumford fireplace. This was the last invention of Sir Benjamin. A little throwback to history. From February 9th of 1734 till 1765, Concord was known as Rumford, from which Sir Benjamin Thompson, Count Rumford, took his title. Okay. In fact, he named one of his inventions after former Concord Rumford fireplace. When Rumford fireplace was invented by Thompson in the late 1790s, it created a worldwide sensation. The new fireplace had unknown before features. He came up with the idea of restricting the chimney opening to increase the draught. He and his workers changed fireplaces by inserting bricks into the hearth to make the sidewalls angled, and they added a choke to the chimney to create circulation of air inside the chimney. So, our modern day chimneys are a nod to that.
Yeah.
The first American alarm clock.
Fuck whoever.
Right.
What if I don't like it?
Levi Hutchins, who invented the first American alarm clock. Our first alarm clock was originated with Leonardo da Vinci, but it was Levi Hutchins who invented the first American alarm clock. He was an American watchmaker from Concord, New Hampshire. His alarm clock, created in 1787, was a 29 by 14-inch timepiece with a cabinet made of pine and had the internal mechanisms of a brass clock. An interesting fact about this is his alarms could only ring one time per day at 4 a.m.
Oh.
And that was when he would begin his day.
That doesn't sound like an alarm clock. That just sounds like a clock that bongs.
Right. He lived to the age of 94. Maybe 4 a.m. wake-up calls were his secret to longevity. The Concord coach that won the Old West. So it was built in 1827, but it was an interesting pre-event anecdote. It has an interesting pre-event anecdote. Lewis Downing, a wheelwright from Lexington, Massachusetts, arrived in Concord on a mild May morning in 1818 with his tools and a mere $60 in his pocket, which back then was a lot.
Yeah.
He was endowed with courage and optimism and made his first carriage for Benjamin Kimball. And you know what I'm talking about, like the Concord carriage things. He prospered as a wheelwright and set up a small factory that had more than a dozen employees. He joined with carriage builder Stephen Abbott in 1826, and the first Concord coach was built in 1827. Each coach was wide, tall, and massive, weighing more than 2,500 pounds each. Damn. Considering a medium pay range of $1 a day, the Concord coach was quite expensive, $1,000 to $1,500 a piece. Imagine riding through Concord's main street on one of those. Definitely more fun than driving a car in the summer, at least.
Yeah.
Mount Washington Cog Railway. A Concord resident since 1879, Sylvester Marsh was a prominent engineer who designed and built the Mount Washington Cog Railway. While climbing Mount Washington in 1852, Marsh came up with the idea of building a railway to the summit. Luckily, he was a very creative thinker, and he came up with the cog railroad design and presented it to the New Hampshire legislature. They laughed at him, saying that he might as well build a railway to the moon. Undaunted, he invested $5,000 of his own money, which then was a lot, to the project. While few believed he could find success, nonetheless, in 1869, the first cog-driven train climbed 6,288 foot Mount Washington.
He showed them.
Right. Now, almost 150 years later, the cog railway continues to chug visitors up to the mountain to the summit. All right, and go for your next. You only have one more, right?
I think it was two more.
Is it two more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Officially listed as Pine Hill Cemetery in Hollis, New Hampshire, it is considered to be one of the most well-known and rumored haunted locations in the state. The land the cemetery sits on was originally donated by a man named Benjamin Parker Jr. in 1769. He donated this plot because he had to sell his farm, and the founding families of the area had called for the need to establish where they could lay their loved ones to rest, which is what prompted the donation of the plot. Over time, many of the folks in the city were buried in Pine Hill, and unfortunately, many of those markers did not survive time and the elements. Unofficially, it is known as Blood Cemetery. One man named Abel Blood is buried in Pine Hill, and it is widely believed that his spirit is not at rest and haunts the cemetery. This man and his wife Betsy are buried side by side, and several have said that the Blood family was murdered, and that Abel roams the grounds trying to find his way home or to locate his beloved wife. It is thought that he is simply a lost soul and is not out to hurt anyone. Records indicate he was someone who served his community and church well. They also point to the fact that not only was Abel and his wife not murdered, there are no murder victims buried in the cemetery at all. There are numerous other members of the Blood family buried here, however the markers are no longer readable or have completely disintegrated. In the 1970s and 80s, teenagers reported seeing Mary Blood in their rearview mirror when they would slam on their brakes as they passed the cemetery. However, only one source indicated this, and I wasn't able to find any other mentions of a Mary Blood. There is another story of a haunting that occurs on the road that runs beside the cemetery of a young child. It is said that this child and his entire family were murdered in the 1800s. Again, records are lacking about this particular family, but it is believed that they were murdered in their home, which sat near Pine Hill Cemetery, and then were buried there. Several have made claims that they have seen a young child trying to flag down vehicles for assistance, and when they stop, the boy vanishes. In New Hampshire tourguide.com recounted their experiences ghost hunting here in the 90s. This is a bit long, so. Blood Cemetery Investigation. I investigated Blood Cemetery before paranormal investigations were cool, before they were on TV, and before it was even socially acceptable to believe in such an oddity. My friend and I talked about going over there many times, but we always chickened out. But one cool evening in the fall of 1990, we decided to do it. We stopped along the roadside and walked into the cemetery around dusk and began looking around. We were there for about 20 minutes without seeing much. It was quiet at the time, almost an eerie quiet, but the longer we stayed, the more comfortable we became being there. We heard some rustling in the nearby woods that didn't amount to anything. We continued to walk around, reading and admiring the craftsmanship of the headstones from an earlier time. As the sun was setting, I looked around and saw an engraving of a hand on one of the gravestones that had a finger pointed upwards. I didn't pay much attention to it at first, that is, until I turned to look at my friend that was with me, who wanted me to look in his direction. What he wanted me to look at seemed boring in comparison to what I was already looking at, so I turned back to look at the headstone with the engraved hand on it. When I looked back at the hand, I noticed it was leaking some sort of brownish rust-colored fluid that was not there just seconds earlier. It had puddled up at the bottom of the egg-shaped recessed area around the hand and began to drip down the face of the headstone. I have to admit I was scared, really scared. No, not the kind of scared that people are laughing and having a good time. This was nothing short of terrifying. Talking about it now seems almost silly to think of being scared, but at that moment everything was telling me to leave. I was frozen in fear, unable to even speak. I didn't even tell my friend I was leaving. I just ran out of the cemetery as fast as my legs could go. I leaped over the stone wall like an Olympian across the street and yelled for him to come to the car.
That sounds like some shit I would do. See something to be like, I'm out!
Right. He also ran towards the car knowing...
No, hold on. Allie falling.
Oh, off that wall? Oh, and we were all like, all right, bye. He also ran towards the car knowing I'm not usually freaked out easily and I'm not one to be overly dramatic. Whew. When he got to the car, I explained what I saw. He then wanted to go see it for himself. He asked me to come with, but I refused. I told him I would return at some point, just not then. He asked me where the stone was. He was going to see it for himself. I explained where the stone was and demanded he leave the keys to the car. He said I looked sick and asked if I was okay. I feel fine, I said, but I wasn't sure of much as my adrenaline was flowing. He walked away from the vehicle, crossed the road, and went into the cemetery again. He walked up the hill where the stone was, and right before I lost sight of him, he arrived at the stone. He seemed to be in shock as he stared at the stone. All I could see was his silhouette in the fading light, just enough to realize he wasn't moving. Right as I was becoming increasingly more concerned for his safety, he suddenly bolted from the cemetery like a bullet running back towards the car. He tripped and fell on something and without a moment of pause jumped back up onto his feet and ran back to the car. I asked him if he was okay after he fell. He told me someone or something pushed him. He said he felt a hard push on his left shoulder and felt it was very powerful and knocked him off his feet. We left the area and promised to never return. We stayed up all night discussing what had happened. His experience of the stone with the hand on it was exactly what I had seen and explained to him before he went in alone. I later found out that the hands point down after sunset. I did not witness this as I was unaware that this happens, or I would have hung around a little bit longer. And in quotation, or in parentheses, not. The headstone with the hand on it became well known in the paranormal community and was replaced with a new stone at the end of October 2007. Blood Cemetery. I walked in a skeptic but left a believer. Now, when my friend and I visit each other, we always talk about that night. We don't usually discuss it with other people because it was really one of those you had to be there experiences. So when we talk about it, it is with great excitement, and our conversation always ends with the ongoing joke, hey, you want to go back? We laugh and say nope at the same time. A comment on their article by user HMO said, my buddies and I went there at like 3 a.m. Keep in mind, we're all in our early 20s and religious. But something about this place, man, makes my bones turn into noodles. My friend and I spent the summer last year visiting old graveyards at night just because why not? We had probably visited 20 to 25 before we went here, and we were never even remotely scared. I swear to you, I saw people running. I was so convinced it was real, I called my friend's name, but he was behind me. Every hair on my neck stood up. If you're looking to be scared, go here. Scary, but a blast. P.S. We're all stone cold sober.
So we need to go there.
Many have visited Pine Hill Cemetery on paranormal explorations, and many paranormal professionals have claimed to capture evidence supporting the hauntings of the Blood family and even the young boy who seems to be seeking assistance from passers-by. Photos have captured shadows, orbs, and other anomalies, and EVPs have caught strange noises and unexplained static. There have been movements of trees with no wind in some videos.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so back to things that came from New Hampshire. Stonyfield yogurt. Never heard of it, but I do like some yogurt.
Yeah.
New Hampshire ball bearings. But New Hampshire Ball Bearings Incorporated has been doing its part to keep the wheels of industry rolling smoothly since it was founded in Peterborough in 1946. They made precision bearings and complex bearing assemblies for the aerospace, defense, medical, dental, and high technology markets, but the 10-year-old boy in all of us just wants to take them all apart and carry those smooth spheres and shiny rollers around in our pockets. True. And I know you've seen these big old crystal bowls, the Peppy Herman crystal bowl or crystals. You Google it. PEPI.
Hold on. PEPI.
HERRMANN crystal. So, Austrian-born Herman That's how I would assume that's pronounced, migrated to the U.S. in 1968. He used his mastery of crystal cutting to revive the long-faded brilliant period, which was 1890 through 1915, of American cut glass. He's considered a pioneer in bringing back the exquisite deep cutting of that era. He crafts everything from crystal flutes and goblets to vases and ornaments. I know you, because my mom's got a bowl that's very similar to this in her house.
It's the way there's only one thing listed on this website.
Really?
Yeah. It's the 2025 Christmas ornament.
Oh.
It's $51.
Hold
on.
The next one is Wilcox Industry. It has developed and produced advanced tactical devices that directly affect the safety of warfighters and law enforcers.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm familiar with the style.
See. Their roster includes a line of night vision helmet mounts, laser sighting systems, and weapon accessories, all designed by a team of engineers with a variety of backgrounds and specialties. Fry's measure meal boxes. Working in what's said to be the only surviving water-powered measure mill in the U.S., Fry's Measure Mill in Wilton continues the 155-year tradition of hard work and craftsmanship. Their measures, which are boxes that hold specific quantities, and more upscale shaker boxes, are juried by the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen and are sold in places like the Smithsonian, Colonial Williamsburg, and Canterbury Shaker Village. The mountain, which this intrigued me because of the picture that comes with it, but it's one of those t-shirts that has the wolves howling at the moon. You know?
Yeah.
I swear your mom used to wear those things back in the day. I swear she did. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm almost positive the year that I dressed up as Trailer Trash Tammy is it Trailer Trash Tammy?
Yeah.
And I was looking for one of those t-shirts. I reached out to your mom to see if she still had any. And she told me no, that she had gotten rid of them. Anyway, the Mountain, they call themselves America's greenest t-shirt company. And that's certainly a credible claim to fame. But most people know these Keene-based company as the maker of the Three Wolves t-shirt.
Yeah.
That, thanks to a tongue-in-cheek online review that went viral, vaulted them into the international market. Now the big sellers are remarkably realistic big face tees. Aside from producing hundreds of designs, more than 60 wolf designs alone, the company works hard to be eco-friendly. The latest implementing a process to clean waste dye water without chemicals. Timberland, which is the boots.
Mm-hmm.
The flagship product of Stratham's and arguably New Hampshire's most famous company. Not trying to start a rap war with Limmer because they're also from New Hampshire.
Yeah.
But if boots could talk, it might go down something like this. Yo, Limmer, you're a legend on the mountainside, but Timberland is famous for its golden hide on the streets of New York City and Brooklyn Heights, because everywhere you go, they're waterproof and tight, and you know that someone's rapping to a different beat when you see our leather wrapped around Rihanna's feet.
Hell.
Ruger guns were originally Sturm.
I thought New Hampshire was a tiny little state.
Right.
How y'all got room for all this?
Right. Sturm
and people live there.
Ruger and Company was originally founded in 1949 in Connecticut and now has a major facility in Newport. The company's very first product, the Ruger Standard, is one of the most popular .22 caliber target pistols ever created in the U.S.
Crazy.
So, and then I got one last that's over one thing, kinda, but it's a story.
Okay.
So you go ahead.
I will tell my last story. Lord. Oh, okay, that makes me feel better.
This one's kind of lengthy.
The Mount Washington Hotel was founded in by New Hampshire native Joseph Stickney, who amassed his fortune in the coal and railroad industries.
I feel like we've heard that name before.
Maybe a similar one. Ground was broken in 1900 and the hotel officially opened on July 28th, 1902. The style is based on Spanish Renaissance revival with a red roof to imitate Spanish tile roofs. Joseph Stickney was an entrepreneur and wanted the very best for his guests. The Mount Washington Hotel was the embodiment of new technology for the time and was instantly successful. Guests would arrive by train from Boston and Portland and were brought to the hotel via horse and carriage. One of the resort's original 3 train stations, Fabian's Station, is now a casual restaurant nearby the hotel. You can feel free to 2 times speed me a little bit for this, just because I don't care if this interests you or not. It interested me. The original construction of the Mount Washington Hotel included over 2,000 doors, over 1,200 windows containing over a half acre of glass, 50 train carloads of bricks, 200,000 square feet of wood flooring, 900 kegs, or the equivalent of 3 train carloads of nails, 11 miles of plumbing pipe, 52,000 square feet of roofing tin, 2 acres of gravel roofing, 2 million square feet of lumber, 700,000 square feet of sheathing paper, 26 tons of sash weights, and 15,370 feet of metal chain in the hanging windows.
Damn.
Joseph died just a little over a year after the Mount Washington opened, and his young wife, Carolyn, remarried a French royal and was from then on out known as the Princess. When she would summer at the hotel, Carolyn would sit and watch all of the ladies coming down the staircase to dinner from behind a curtain on the balcony near the front desk. If any woman was better dressed than she was, Carolyn would change her evening attire to ensure she was the most finely dressed.
What a bitch.
The princess died at the age of 69, and some say that her hospitable spirit still resides in her beloved hotel. In 1978, the hotel was added to the National Registry of Historic Places, and in 1986, it was designated as a National Historic Landmark. Now known as the Omni Mount Washington Hotel, it has a reputation for being one of the spookiest hotels in America. As I mentioned, it is thought that Carolyn now haunts the hotel, and there have been multiple sightings of her and some strange occurrences in her old suite, which is now guest room 314. Her original bed is still in use in the guest room. Carolyn is the most prominent and active permanent resident of the Mount Washington. In 2008, during Season 4, Episode 7 of Ghost Hunters, the TAPS team discovered paranormal activity. They specifically visited the princess's room as well as the towers of the hotel, which are also known to be paranormal hotspots. Guests and employees have reported seeing the apparition of Princess Carolyn sitting on the edge of her bed in room 314. Guests have noted instances of lights being turned on and off of their own accord and have had items go missing only to reappear in strange locations. Other guests have reported a strong scent of floral perfume in the middle of the night. Down in the hotel's ballroom, there have been reports of music playing of its own on its own. TwoSistersAbroad.com gathered 5 tales of paranormal experiences from anonymous former hotel employees. So number 1, on more than one occasion, this is like in first person. On more than one occasion, I would be walking in the main lobby and would see out of the corner of my eye what seemed to be a lady looking out over the mezzanine. Each time I would glance up and the image was gone. But a lot of employees and guests have had the same experience. We all agree that it was Princess Carolyn who was married to Joseph Stickney. I need to wet my whistle. Hold on. Number 2. In 1997, I was working as a housekeeper and had to clean room 314. The princess's room. I went to service the room that newlyweds were staying in, and I knocked on the door and there was no answer. I opened the door, went in, and there was a little girl sleeping on the bed. Immediately, I went to the hallway to see my inspector and told her I couldn't clean the room because the little girl was sleeping. She said that was odd because the guests were newlyweds and nobody else had registered. She asked me to leave a note that I was coming back in an hour to service the room. I went back in the room to leave the note by the table. I walked in the room quietly to not wake up the little girl. When I looked at the bed, instead of a little girl, there was a woman staring right at me with the most scary smile on her face.
Nope.
She had black hair and was wearing a white dress. I got chills down my spine and I just stood there frozen. She sat on the bed and kept staring at me. I ran out of the room and told my friend, who was also a housekeeper. We both went back in the room and there was no one there. I still have a hard time remembering that incident, and I get chills every time I speak about it.
I got chills thinking about it.
I have many friends that have worked there, and I heard a lot of scary things that happened. Oh, the day before this happened, my friend and I took pictures of ourselves on the princess's bed. Everybody tells me that I made her upset by doing that.
Sounds like it.
Number 3. In the late 80s, early 90s, when the hotel was still only seasonal, I was working alone in the ballroom late in the fall just before shutdown. That time of year always seemed to have more ghost activity, like they knew we were all leaving soon. I had been working on the floor and was resetting the room for a large meeting. The ballroom had super heavy curtains on the windows at the time, and I had closed them all. I was moving chairs from one side from the other side of the room, and at one point the curtains started flowing as if someone had a hold of them and was waving them back and forth. I checked all of the doors and windows and nothing was open. It made me wonder if someone was messing with me. I set a chair down and stood back up, and clear as day I saw a woman standing there in a hoop-style dress. Without even thinking about it, I started to leave, but then halfway to the door, I went back to see if it was someone playing a trick. I went back out into the middle of the ballroom and was facing toward the lobby of the hotel when I felt just like someone brushing past me. I guess it wasn't a trick. Number 4. As I walked into the ballroom late one evening on a night when there was no performers, I heard the faint sounds of an orchestra playing. I thought a rehearsal was going on, and I went to see who it was. There was no one there. No one. As I walked away from the side of the stage, the lights suddenly went out and the music got louder. It was surreal and very, very scary. I ran to the light switch and saw that it had been turned off. I turned it back on, and the lights went on for a second, and then the switch turned down on its own. The entire time, the music kept playing. I ran out and found security and told them what happened. They went in to investigate and found nothing. No music and no problem with the lights.
Nope.
And then number 5, which is the last one. I had a few experiences, but this is one that stands out the most. A few summers ago, I was bartending in the Cave, the hotel bar. It was just after we opened, and I was standing on the side of the bar. No one was near the other end of the bar. The only people in the room were me, the other bartender, and the 2 guests that we were standing and chatting with. All of a sudden, we heard a loud thud at the opposite end of the bar, and a stack of teacups and saucers we had stacked underneath the bar came flying out at least 4 feet and smashed all over the place. No doubt in my mind there was a spirit in the room. The guests we were chatting with quickly finished up the conversation and left for the night. They never came back for a drink.
I can imagine.
I wouldn't have either.
I can imagine.
Lord.
All right, so here's my last one. And we'll include the link, but I'm going to read this word for word because it's kind of interesting. Okay. It's sometimes hard to believe that it really wasn't that long ago when we weren't carrying computers around in our pockets. What comes in a small package now seems light years from its more primitive origins. Without the imaginative minds of early innovators, the sophisticated computers and entertainment systems of today might not be what they are. If you grew up on TV video games like I did, one of these innovations, the video game console, was created in Nashua, and that's one of many New Hampshire inventions. Mm-hmm. German-American inventor, game developer, and engineer Ralph Baer imagined the idea, the playing games on TV screen while working in the electronics industry. While he was an engineer at Sanders Associates in Nashua, New Hampshire, he had the support of his employers to work on what would become the first video game console. He created several prototypes until settling on a brown box device that would later become the blueprint for the Magnavox Odyssey game console in 1972. While considered quite simple today, the Magnavox Odyssey was a watershed movement in home entertainment technology and was superseded by the Magnavox Odyssey 2 in 1978. Do you remember those?
What was it again?
The Magnavox Odyssey. Baer is credited with co-developing 3 other popular electronic games, including Simon, a pattern matching game that became extremely popular in the 1990s. Did you ever have one of those? Mm-mm. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but no, I never had one.
Baer passed away at his home in Manchester, New Hampshire in 2014. Visitors to the Smithsonian Institution can view his donated hardware prototypes in a replica of his workshop. So they've created like a whole area, and it's pretty cool looking. Yeah. So that was that. It's not as long as I thought it was, but
nice. Well,
it seemed a lot longer when I was reading it at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Well, that was Spooky New Hampshire.
Also kind of a long episode.
Yeah, it was kind of long. I put my whole Ussy into that one because I wrote that like a month ago.
Not the whole one.
I actually got, I put in effort, right? Thinking, I'm going to get my life together.
We say that every month.
It was the only one that I did that early. And it took me like 2 weeks. But the next one's good too. The next episode's good.
I'm excited about it.
Our nonprofit of the month.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is the Hickman Holler Appalachian Relief Fund, which was established in 2020 by Senora May and Tyler Childers to bring awareness and financial support to philanthropic efforts in the Appalachian region. And should you feel inclined to donate directly to that organization, we will leave a link in the description of this episode, as well as across our socials, which include
Facebook,
Instagram,
TikTok,
YouTube.
And we have an email, and we want you to send things to the email. Things
Dear
like
Wanderers.
Yes, we want to give you advice that we should not be giving you, but we're going to give it
that
anyway.
You may or may not want to take.
We want to hear your embarrassing stories.
Yeah.
We want to hear crazy stories that you've witnessed. We want to hear your am I the asshole stories.
Yeah.
Just pretty much anything. We'd love to do a whole episode of just shit like that.
Or even just make it like a segment, like at the end, like right after we do the nonprofit or whatever. I think it would be fun to throw on like 1 or 2 of them.
Just anything you want to tell us.
Yeah. So,
within reason.
Send it to us.
Please. At wanderersofweird
@gmail.com.
Okay, bye.
Bye.